to bounce back. Penguins look to bounce back after a 5-0 shutout loss to the Ottawa Senators on Saturday night. Did they bounce back? Did they at least score a goal? Time to talk Penguins and Bolts on this episode of Penguins Postgame. Let's get rolling.
You're locked in to Penguins Hockey on the Sports for Beginners podcast. Sidney Crosby and the Penguins play here on the Sports for Beginners podcast. Hey, Shooty scores! The bingo game is ready to roll. Welcome to Penguins Postgame. PPG for PGH. And you'd have to be here to believe it. Here is your host, Scott McGregor.
Jake Gensel and company back in Pittsburgh. It is the Penguins and the Lightning. A game that took place at 5 o'clock time, 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Pacific, 10:08 p.m. UK time, 11:08 p.m. France time. Good evening, everybody. Well, okay, at this point in time of our recording on a Tuesday, as we're getting ready for the Penguins versus the Seattle Kraken, that's the game we're going to talk about in a little bit. We're talking all things Penguins and Lightning, Penguins and the Bolts. Well, the one thing I can assure Penguin fans, as you may know, the one thing I can assure you is that the Penguins did, yes, they did. They did find a way. They did find a way to score some goals. They didn't score very many, but 2 goals is enough than none. And it's definitely better than 0, which they did on Saturday night. The Penguins did not score a goal on Saturday night. They were shut out 5-0. Well, this time they're not shut out 5-0, but they do lose by 5 goals. Make that actually 4 goals. Well, actually make it 3 because they scored 2 goals, as I said. So yeah, when you look at it there, 5-2, that's a 3-goal loss and a 3-goal win. A 3-goal win for the Tampa Bay Lighting. We'll talk about it all in our period-by-period summary in just a matter of moments. But first, let's talk about who started in goal tonight in this one on Sunday. The Tampa Bay Lighting, you'd think it would be Andrei Vasilevsky, but instead it's Jonas Johansson getting the start for John Cooper's Tampa Bay Lighting. For Mike Sullivan, Alex Nedeljkovic is going to get Tristan Jarry had the starting role. Tristan Jarry with the starting role. And I understand Tristan Jarry might start against the Kraken tonight. It had been confirmed that he will start. So it looks like we will see Jarry start this one. Nedeljkovic did start the game on Saturday and got pulled, so Jarry had to come in relief of Nedeljkovic in the 5-0 shutout loss. And I commend Jarry for what he was able to do on that game. All right. So it's Tristan versus Johansson. It's Tristan Jarry versus Jonas Johansson. Andrei Vasilevsky in at backup for the Lightning for this one. Alex Nedeljkovic in at backup for the Penguins for this one. All right. Off we go to the first period of this contest. And we'll get to the first period before we take our first break of the program. This is actually this is a reminder that the triple trouble has now come to a close. We started with the Buffalo Bills, and we'll talk about the Bills and Ravens. I do have now the time for that in a little bit. Thomas has you covered on the PWHL recap. Help us out with our triple trouble. He is doing our Frost and Victoire PWHL Takeover Weekend. And that, if you're joining us after that, welcome aboard. We really appreciate you joining us here. As always on Sports for Beginners, I am Scott McGregor, your host of the program and your host of Penguins and Bills post game. I'm also the Sports for Beginners host on PWHL recap, but for Triple Trouble, Thomas was on the case, and he has you for the Victoire versus the Frost game. I have you here for our Bolts and Penguins recap. So without further delay, let's jump straight into it. Here we go. First period of the game. Well, the Penguins get on board. They get on the board a little early in the game. They get on the board a little bit early. But first, we'll see a lightning penalty. This penalty went to Victor Hedman. 2 minutes for tripping. 8 minutes and 3 seconds in. Penguins unable to connect on the game's first power play, but Rakell does score on the game's first goal of the game, his 22nd goal of the season, assisted by number 17, Brian Rust. That is Rust's 17th assist of the season. Yep, that's his 17th assist of the season. Marcus Pettersson also coming in there for the goal. His 14th assist of the season. And at 14 minutes and 20 seconds, the Penguins take the early lead 1-0. Shots on goal after the first 20 minutes, 14-2 in favor of Pittsburgh. The Penguins really bringing the heat to the Tampa Bay Lighting. They led 14-2 at the end of one period of play. To the second period we go. We still got some time here, so we'll get to our second period before we take the break. And here come the Tampa Bay Lightning. First, let's go to the penalties. In the penalty marker, an interference call went to Penguins Jesse Puljujarvi for minutes at 4 minutes and 55 seconds. An interference call, 2-minute minor for interference to Jesse Puljujarvi. Penalty went to Victor Hedman. He gets called for roughing this time. That's the second time Victor Hedman in this game has gone to the box, and it's at the same timeline as the Jesse Puljujarvi interference call. The Penguins and the Bolts are playing at 5-on-5 at this point in time. Perhaps the Bolts get the power play on. No, they did not get a power play opportunity there. So it was indeed 4-on-4. But if they were going to get on the interference call, if they were going to get a power play, they would get it off the interference call unless there was another call in the second period. There was not. Off to the scoring we go. The Lightning have Brandon Hagel for 6 minutes and 54 seconds later. His 20th goal of the season. Anthony Cirelli with his 19th assist of the season. And give it up for Emil Emil Elberg. I'm going to go with EL. EL, his ninth assist of the season. Emil Lilleberg, his ninth assist of the season. 6 minutes and 54 seconds into the second period. The Lightning have tied it up. Off we go to the next goal, as they weren't done there. Did you really think we weren't going to see an assist from Jake Gensel? Did you really think we weren't going to see an assist from Jake Gensel? Did you really think we weren't going to see an assist from Jake Gensel? Well, if you thought that, you thought wrong. Nikita Kucherov, he scored twice in this hockey game. His first goal gives the Lightning the lead in the second period, his 19th of the season. Victor Hedman on the assist, his 26th of the season. And the former Penguin, Jake Gensel, putting a stick to puck to get it over to Victor Hedman. He's got number 20 on the season. For him, one of his 2 assists in the game at 16 minutes and 4 seconds. And what a turn of the tide. The Lightning have turned the tide 16 minutes and 4 seconds in, because at the end of 40 minutes, what was a 1-goal lead for the Penguins is now a 1-goal lead for the Tampa Bay Lightning on the Nikita Kucherov goal scored by Nikita Kucherov, and of course Victor Hedman and Jake Gensel on the assist. After 40 minutes of play, shots on goal for the game, 24-9 in favor of the Penguins, leading 10-7 in the shots after 40 minutes. We'll go to the third period and wrap up there after we take our much needed first break of the program. Plus, before we get to game stats, I'll take a look at quite the action on Sunday night. We'll take a look at the other action on Sunday, including a game the Kraken played on Sunday before they prepare to play Pittsburgh tonight on a Tuesday night as we are recording this ahead of the game. So don't you dare miss it. Right back with more Penguin post game on Sports for Beginners in a moment.
CNT Radio will never give you up. They will never let you down. Nor will they run around or desert you. So join Nick Astley for The Melting Pot every Saturday on CNT Radio. Hang on a minute. He's not Nick Astley. Oh, jings, I've done it wrong. Anyway, just join Nick for The Melting Pot on CNT Radio.
Take another look with Gerda Felix and Melanie Taddeo Malo, two powerful women of diverse backgrounds having genuine, unique, and uncomfortable conversations that everyone needs to have. Join Melanie and Gerda for conversations about what is missing from human connections.
Looking for conversations on books and more, as well as tutorials on using your favorite devices and applications? You've come to the right place. Join us weekly on Spicy Techie, where Ali and Sienna provide insightful conversations, as well as useful tips and tricks to help you along on your technological journey. To learn more, tune into the show and like the Spicy Techie Facebook page. Search for Spicy Techie.
The Penguins will look to avoid the sweep of the Tampa Bay Lightning as they play in Tampa Bay to close out their season series with the Lightning. They have lost both games here at PPG Paints Arena. Lost 3-2 on November 19th, 2024. And they lost yesterday. No, I should say Sunday on January 12th, 2025, 5-2. How did it become 5-2? Let's find out. Here we go. But before we do, let's talk about when they'll do battle again. They will do battle one more time in 2024-2025 when they play in Tampa Bay on March 25th, 2025. Game time is 7 p.m. Eastern. So that'll be a good one. That will be a good one, I'm sure. We're not going to worry too much about our officials, but some scratches just before we get to the third period. No Connor Geeky for the Tampa Bay Lightning. No Michael Bunting, no Ryan Graves, and no Ryan Shea. We knew before the game on Sunday that Michael Bunting was involved in a car accident outside of PPG Paints Arena. And per head coach Mike Sullivan, we are happy to hear that everybody, including Michael Bunting, who was involved, is okay. So we don't know all the other information on that, but reason why Michael Bunting was one of the scratches for the Penguins in this one, and one of the notable scratches for this game, is because he was involved in a car accident outside of PPG Paints Arena. And honestly, I commend Coach Mike Sullivan on not playing Michael Bunting, even if he was hurt in the car accident. So I wish Michael Bunting the best of luck here with that car accident. Very relieved to hear that he's okay. So we will see what the situation is there. Perhaps he plays tonight on Tuesday night against the Kraken. I wouldn't wanna say that he does, but we will see. We will see. Maybe you give him another day off, and then I will probably see Bunting play when we're on the road in Buffalo. Oh, by the way, we don't know if the Penguins will make the trip to LA on next Monday, but that's something for next Monday. We'll figure that out when we get to the road trip, which is a big road trip for the Penguins. They're on a long road trip for the Penguins coming up after this game against Seattle, in which they will travel to Seattle, but we don't yet know if they are traveling to Los Angeles to play the Kings on Monday night. And just a programming note on that, we will have the post-game show for you on Tuesday. Given that it is a night owl game, so please stick around for that. Again, that's Tuesday. We'll do Penguins post-game. After that game, should it be going ahead, unless the game gets moved to another stadium, we will shall it be going ahead. We'll have the post-game show for you on a Tuesday. We'll have that for you on Tuesday, the 21st of January. I'm going to check here my calendar to make sure that's correct. I believe, yes, that is correct. So that will be a Tuesday, January 21st, 2025 program, Penguins post-game edition. So we extend our condolences and prayers out to those affected by the Los Angeles wildfires. And we really hope that everyone is doing well. But in these times of need, we extend our condolences to those affected by the Los Angeles wildfires and those affected by the wildfires in Brooklyn as well. So extending our condolences far and wide. We are with you in the fight against these wildfires, even if we may not be there in person. Moving on back into our game breakdown. 2 periods in the book. The Penguins out shooting the Tampa Bay Lighting 24-9 at the end of 2 periods of play for the game, that is. They won the period of the second period. They won the period of the second period 10-7. So how did things fare in the third period? Well, one thing we know for sure, the Penguins didn't score another goal. Well, actually, they did score another goal. This was the goal that made it 2-2 to the exact. And then 3 goals scored by the Lightning. We'll get to it all in a second. 2 penalties in the game, both to Tampa Bay in the third period. The first one went to Darren Radish for high sticking at 1 minute and 11 seconds. Then Anthony Cirelli went at 6 minutes and 17 seconds for a minor for hooking, a 2-minute minor for hooking. Anthony Cirelli and Darren Radish, the only Lightning penalties coming out of that third period. In the third period scoring, Kevin Hayes scores Pittsburgh's only power play goal 2 minutes and 17 seconds in. So that Darren Radish penalty did kill the Penguins. Sorry, it did kill the Tampa Bay Lightning, but they still have a lead. Well, actually, they had a lead. Now they've lost it. So that was a costly penalty by Darren Radish. Kevin Hayes, his 7th goal of the season. Rakell, a goal already in this game. Why not have an assist? That's his 16th assist of the season. And the captain, Sidney Crosby, also picking up an assist. Number 36 on the season for him. And the Penguins have tied it. It's 2-2 after it was 1-0 Pittsburgh after 20 minutes and 2-1 Lightning after 40 minutes of play. Now it's 2-2 on the PPG for PG8. But then Nikita Kucherov takes over his 20th goal of the season. He's now hit 20 goals on the year. He's hit the 20-goal mark once again. And that was unassisted. So Kucherov gives Tampa Bay back the lead at 16 minutes and 57 seconds. Nick Paul and Anthony Cirelli both score empty net goals. For Cirelli, it's his 17th goal of the season. Nikita Kucherov picking up an assist on that one. His 42nd assist of the season. Brandon Hagel, his 28th assist of the season. And first of the game. Brandon Hagel, first assist of the game, but only assist of the hockey game. 28 on the year for him. That was on Torelli's 17th goal of the season and Tampa Bay's first empty net goal of the game, which made it 4-2 and a 2-point lead for the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Lightning now leading by 2 goals, 4-2 Tampa Bay. And Nick Paul, his empty net goal, the second empty net goal of the game, is the 11th of the season for him. That's the 11th goal of the season for Nick Paul. Jake Gensel, 1 assist already in this one. Gonna get his second assist of the season, or second assist of the game, rather. 21st assist of the season. Also on the assist, Ryan McDonough. His 13th assist of the season. Anthony Cirelli's 17th goal of the season, coming in at 18 minutes and 48 seconds. Nick Paul coming in at 19 minutes and 39 seconds. Not quite the last minute of play yet, but it's getting pretty close. But Nick Paul and Anthony Cirelli's empty net goals send this one into the books, 5-2 the final in favor of the Lightning. And we'll get to our shots on goal for the third period in just a moment, because it's time before we get to that final portion of the scoring in terms of shots on goal and our total for the game. It's time for us to take a look at our action on Saturday. I should say Sunday, because it's a Sunday game. We'll begin in Vegas, where the Golden Knights hosted the Minnesota Wild and had quite an interesting game going for them, despite going down by 1 on Ryan Hartman's 6th goal of the season. They go on to win it 4-1 against the Wild. So they avoid a scare right at the beginning of the game, despite going down 1-0. They quickly recover in the second period. Pavel Dupuis, Keegan Kolsar, Thomas Hurdle, and Pavel Dufay, he scored twice, along with Keegan Kolsar, scored once. Thomas Hurdle scored once. And, of course, Ryan Hartman, he scored the only goal for the Wild. Down in Carolina, the Ducks find a way to beat the Hurricanes in overtime, 3-2 the final there. Let's go to the nation capital of Canada, where the Stars were taking on the Senators. The Penguins, lost 5-0 in Saturday night here in Pittsburgh, where the game between the Lightning was going down. Tim Stützle, Jason Robertson, Josh Norris, Matthew Higmore, and Evgeny Stanonov are the goal scorers, but it was the goal by Matthew Highmore, his first goal in the National Hockey League and first goal of the season. So it looks like we got a rookie. Oh, sorry, this guy's not a rookie. It's his first goal in this season for the National Hockey League 2024-2025 season. But it's his 13th goal of the season. And so with that being said, 13th goal of his year. So he hasn't had a good start to his rookie year, but It will come. It will come. He does have more than one goal in his NHL career, but he does have one goal now for the year in 2024-2025. So that's good. All right. Moving on. Off we go to the Motor City, where the Penguins spent New Year's Eve, and the Detroit Red Wings hosted the team that the Penguins will host tonight, the Seattle Kraken. The Kraken get 2 goals in this one, but the Red Wings come out on top 6-2 against Seattle on a Sunday night. So our finals, other than Penguins and the Bolts, 6-2, the Kraken fall to the Red Wings. The Senators beat the Stars 3-2. 3-2, a final score also in overtime, the only game that went to overtime. And the Ducks beat the Hurricanes 3-2. The Wild fell to the Golden Knights 4-1 in the only 4-1 score. 6-2, again, the Kraken fall to the Red Wings. And the Penguins, of course, in our game, fell 5-2 to the Tampa Bay Lighting. And the Tampa Bay Lightning have grabbed a 2-goal stranglehold on the Penguins in the season series. So now the Penguins will be looking to avoid the sweep. And with that said, let's jump into our final shots on goal. Even though the Penguins had heavily been out shooting the Tampa Bay Lightning for the game, the Lightning win the third period 10-9, but the Penguins win the shots on goal 33-19. That's our shots on goal for the game. So the Penguins outshot the Tampa Bay Lightning 33-19. All right, moving along to other stats. This game saw 50 face-offs. Pittsburgh won 27 of them, winning 54%. 46% of the face-offs were won by Tampa Bay. They won 23 out of 50. Tampa Bay Lightning power penalty kill unit going 2 for 3. They kill off 2 of their 3 penalties. The Penguins power play 1 for 3 on the night. Penalty kill for the Penguins non-existent, 0 for 0. But that's because they did a good job of staying out of the penalty box, meaning the Tampa Bay Lightning power play did not need to come out onto the ice on Sunday night. The Penguins spend 2 minutes in the penalty box due to our 4-on-4 hockey. 8 minutes for the Tampa Bay Lightning in the penalty box. The Lightning out-hit the Penguins 38-33. They also blocked more shots than the Penguins, 15-11. 17-12 in the giveaways. So the Penguins beating the Lightning 12-17 in the giveaways, because there were more giveaways by Tampa Bay than Pittsburgh. 9 takeaways for the Penguins to 2 giveaways for the takeaways for the Lightning. That will wrap up our stats. We'll get to the 3 stars of the game, the play of the game, and of course, I'll get to the shake of the game before we step aside for one final time and bring up the game puck of the game and the next 5. So stick around, because that is on its way in a matter of moments. But before we get there, we're going to take a break now. And when we come back, 3 stars of the game, the play of the game, and the shake of the game. It all's coming up next on Penguins Post Game. Stick with us. We'll be back in just a moment. Plus, you might even hear when our Bills post game show will be. We might even go over divisional weekend schedule for the NFL. Stick with us.
Looking for a sports podcast that covers sports weekly as well as gets you set up for the day? Check out Weekly in Sports with me, Scott McGregor. We give some shout-outs of the week to podcasts like this one and those who do them. Discuss the Blue Jays, Bills, Raptors, and more. To learn more, check out the Sports for Beginners Facebook page. Search Sports for Beginners.
Looking for conversations on the world of broadcasting, sports media, and from time to time, my favorite sports teams? Listen to Broadcast Map with me, Ali Musa. To learn more about the show and to view the upcoming schedule, like the Broadcast Map Facebook page. Search Broadcast Map.
The Penguins fall 5-2 to the Tampa Bay Lighting. And a quick little thing I want to do here before we get down to our 3 stars of the game. And of course, our as notable, we want to get into our play of the game and our shake of the game. This is our segment for it. We want to talk about the NFL for a little bit because guess what? Divisional weekend is here. Divisional weekend is on its way. The Los Angeles Rams have eliminated the Minnesota Vikings, and so that leaves them right now with the matchup against the Eagles at 3 p.m. Eastern time. So by the time you hear our post-game show for the Bills and the Ravens, that game, as well as our Saturday game and the Bills and Ravens, will be final by that timeline. But here's what we know. As the Rams destroyed the Vikings 27-9. Yeah, that's right. 27-9 was the final score in favor of the Rams. Well, I guess field goals ain't going to cut it here. But in a win or go home situation, you got to do what you got to do to win. And that's exactly what the Rams did. So now it's all about Saturday and Sunday because we're coming up on Championship Sunday. We're down to the final 6. Going to be down to the final 4 when we hit Championship Sunday a week from this Sunday. Here is your game on tap on Saturday. The Chiefs, who had the number 1 bye week in the AFC, will host the Texans at 4:30 p.m. on Saturday, January the 18th, 2025. Later in the evening, the Lions, who had the NFC's number 1 seed and first round bye, will go head to head with the Washington Commanders in Detroit at Ford Field in Detroit, Michigan. On Sunday, the Eagles host the Rams at 3 p.m. Eastern, and that's on Sunday, January 19th, 2025. The Eagles will host the Rams from Philadelphia, and then later in the evening, just about 3 hours and 30 minutes after that game has gone final, about 6:30 p.m. Eastern, it is the Buffalo Bills versus and Josh Allen versus Lamar Jackson, John Harbaugh, Derrick Henry, and the Baltimore Ravens. An MVP matchup. And with that being said, that means that on Monday, January 20th, we will have you covered for a post-game show. That's right. Next Monday, it will be Bills Ravens post-game on Bills post-game here on Sports for Beginners. And I cannot wait to bring you that game, whether or not it is our final game of our coverage. It's win or go home. You got to do what you got to do to win the game. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to divisional weekend already. All right. Before we get to divisional weekend, we got a couple of Penguin post-game shows coming up before we get there, including two of our next Penguin post-game shows on Friday and Saturday. So we'll get that all to you in a matter of moments when we get to the next five, coming up in just a few short moments. But right now, we focus back on Sunday, where the Penguins fell 5-2 to the Tampa Bay Lighting. And let's jump right to our 3 stars of the game on the Penguins Radio Network, brought to you by your neighborhood Ford stores. Ford cars, trucks, and SUVs are the official vehicles of the Pittsburgh Penguins. We are not sponsored by Ford, and we are not sponsored by what the play of the game on the Penguins Radio Network is sponsored by, which is Rivers Casino, Pittsburgh's entertainment destination. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. If you would like to sponsor our program, the door is open to you. We would love it if you send an email to sportsforbeginners podcast8231@gmail.com with sponsorship in the subject for an email. And with that said, 3 stars of the game. The aforementioned Rakell picks up the 3rd star for the Penguins. A goal and an assist, 2 points in the game. The 2nd star is Brandon Hagel. 1 goal, 1 assist, and 2 points on the game as a result. Nikita Kucherov scored twice. And did he end up being the 1st star? Yes, he did. Nikita Kucherov is your 1st star. 2 goals, 1 assist, 3 points on the game. So it's Nikita Kucherov, Brandon Hagel, and Rakell. Rakell, Brandon Hagel, and Nikita Kucherov. Those are your 3 stars of the game. Displeased with how it happened? Send an email to sportsforbeginners podcast8231@gmail.com, or are you on Discord? Head on over to our Sports for Beginners Penguins post-game show interactions Discord server and send us your 3 stars of the game. Don't agree with my play of the game? send an email, Sports for Beginners Podcast, 8231 at gmail.com, or into the Penguins post-game show interaction Discord server. Speaking of the play of the game, let's get to that right now because we want to save some time here. Saving time. I already let you know Bills post-game will come your way on Monday, January 20th, 2025. But the game is on the 19th. It's a Sunday. And we'll get to it all in a little bit. But we got to keep it going here with the Penguins. So that brings me now to the play of the game. As I mentioned off the top of this segment, sponsored by what we're not sponsored by, but is sponsored by on the Penguins Radio Network, Rivers Casino, Pittsburgh's entertainment destination. Not sponsored by Rivers Casino. But again, if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER, as I said. For me, I'm going to go to the third period, and I'm going to go to the second goal of the game scored by Nikita Kucherov, his 20th of the season. He does this all by himself, and I haven't seen the highlight yet. I haven't seen the highlights yet of it, but I do think I'm going to do that after we get out of here. But I think this is probably a interesting goal set up here by Nikita Kucherov. But I think this was probably going to come out to whether or not Alex Nedeljkovic had a chance at it. Tristan Jarry. Oh no, sorry. Tristan Jarry was the guy in goal. God, focus. You mentioned Tristan was the starter in this one. Okay, regardless, I think this has something to do with the fact that I think maybe the reason this is good enough for my play of the game might be because it has something to do with the fact that Kucherov might have been able to confuse Tristan Jarry, but whether he was able to confuse Jarry or not, well, that all remains to be seen. But Nikita Kucherov, 20th goal of the season and second goal of the evening on Sunday is good enough for my play of the game. All right, we're going to do the next 5, the game puck of the game, and the shake of the game on the other side. But before we get to that, before they kick off, postseason alert, postseason alert, postseason alert, postseason alert, postseason alert. Thomas will be joining me in the studio to do a before they kick off program as we get you set for the Ravens and the Bills. Let's see what Thomas has on his thoughts on the Denver Bronco loss to Buffalo, 31-7, the final in that game. Did he like how the Vikings played on Monday night against the Rams? What did we like? What did we not like from the Rams game? Thomas and I will discuss it. What do we like? What do we not like from the Raven game? We'll discuss it all. Get you set up for Ravens and Bills in an MVP matchup. That will come your way on game day. And I will have a link in our show notes to the Sean McDermott show for that week. So the link into the description of our show notes will be provided both on the pre-game show and the post-game show in case you miss it. But I will not have it happen on this postseason edition of Bills pre-game before they kick off. It's a postseason edition. We won't have Sean McDermott and Steve Tasker send us all the way to our Josh Allen win on 3-1-2-3 win. And I have a little bit of my own little thing there. So no Josh going to send us into the game, but We will get it down to you there. I'll have a little bit of my own little sign off there, but Thomas will join me for the pregame show. A lot to talk about, including the Rams' victory over the Vikings, what we like, what we didn't like, specifically from the Vikings, and what we liked from the Rams. What do we like? What do we not like from the Ravens game that, should Buffalo have not won this game, pitted the Ravens against the Texans and the Broncos against the defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. As it stands, it's the Ravens and the Bills on Sunday, the Texans and the Chiefs on Saturday. What do we like from that one? Well, you'll stick around on Bill's pregame show before they kick off to find out all those answers. But right now, we're going to take 30 seconds. And then when we come back, it's time for the shake of the game, the game puck of the game, and then we'll put a bow on the show with what's next for the Bolts, what's next for the Pens. We already know one of the things that's next for the Pens, and that comes your way tonight as they face off against the Seattle Kraken. I will be coming your way right after the game, or probably on Wednesday, to give us some time as we come back after the Pens and the Kraken. But for this show, I'll be back in 30 seconds to put a bow on Lightning and the Penguins. We'll reiterate when the Penguins play the Lightning again after the next 5 to close out the program. We're setting up Kraken versus Pen when we return. Back in 30 seconds.
CNT Radio will never give you up. They will never let you down, nor will they run around or desert you. So join Nick Astley for The Melting Pot every Saturday on CNT Radio. Hang on a minute. He's not Nick Astley. Oh, jings, I've done it wrong. Anyway, just join Nick for The Melting Pot on CNT Radio.
No matter what you think of it, it's pretty safe to say 2025 did not start off on the right foot for the Pittsburgh Penguins. They lost to Florida right after spending New Year's Eve in the Motor City in Detroit, looking to end 2024 on a high note, which they kind of did, but they lost that game as well. They also lost to Carolina. That's on my birthday, but you know what? So did Buffalo. And that was actually the last week of the season. Well, I mean, Buffalo, did they win or did they lose? Yes, the Bills lost in that one. They lost 23-16. Oh, by the way, right after the loss, because the Patriots did not get the number 1 pick overall in the draft, they fired their head coach, and we now know that Mike Vrabel has stepped up to the plate and returned to the head coaching duties. But we'll talk about that more on a football show. Maybe not the pregame show of the Bills and the Ravens, but we will see. Then again, the Penguins lost to the Columbus Blue Jackets to kick off this 5-game homestand. They beat the Oilers to get back at Edmonton after getting shut out in Edmonton. They got shut out on Saturday night, and they lost to Tampa Bay, which is the game we're talking about from Sunday, 5-2. All right. So now they're going to try to end the homestand on a high note with the Kraken coming into town before the Penguins go on a long road trip to end the month of January. the first month of January. All right. Or I should say the first month of 2025 to be exact. So before you know it, we're gonna be coming up on the 2025-2026 season, but we don't want to go too quick. All right. So with that being said, let's keep it going here with the Penguins and the Bolts. It's time now for the shake of the game, inspired by old friend Jake Gensel, who is now a Tampa Bay Lightning member. His Milkshake Factory ad providing you the official milkshake of the Pittsburgh Penguins. We're not sponsored by the Milkshake Factory, but that ad by Jake that is now run by Brian Rust has prompted discussion. Which is better, Jake Shakes or Rusty Shakes? I honestly haven't tried any, so I can't tell you my answer. But if you have, and you're a Penguins fan, I'd like to know, which is better, Jake or Rusty? Every time Brian Rust scores, of course it used to be every time Jake scores, but now it's Rust. But now it's every time Brian Rust scores. Fans at Pittsburgh receive half off Rusty Shakes at the Milkshake Factory, providing you the official milkshake of the Pittsburgh Penguins. And of course, every time Brian Rust scores, you'll have half off Rusty Shakes at the Milkshake Factory. So that's a pretty good deal. You know what else is a pretty good deal? If the Penguins win, you also get a 10-piece chicken McNuggets at McDonald's. You know what would be even sweeter? You could also get a free Big Mac. Well, you gotta get it during the Big Mac attack, which always happens around the second period. But regardless, the Penguins lost this one, so no 10-piece chicken McNuggets, no free Big Mac, and of course, no shake. But you know what? It's okay. We're going to give some shake of the games out here before we get to the game puck. And given that we want to get the game puck in and we also want to get the next 5 in, as this is our last segment of the show, I want to let everyone know that we're going to do one per team. So let's start with the Tampa Bay Lightning. Our shake of the game recipient, along with some honorable mention for the Tampa Bay Lightning, that's going to go to Victor Hedman. I really like what I saw from Victor Hedman in this one. The penalties for him might be something he wants to work on here. He received a penalty in the first period for tripping. He also received a penalty for roughing in that second period, but no other penalties other than that. So good job staying out of the box for number 77 in the third period of this one. And that's why he is going to get a shake of the game there. An honorable mention is the goaltender, who will get our game puck of the game, Jonas Johansson. Jonas Johansson made 31 saves on 33 shots, gave up a goal on the power play and at even strength. Finishes the game with a save percentage of .939, playing the entire 60 minutes of the game. So Victor Hedman with the shake of the game for Sunday's win over the Penguins. And the Tampa Bay Lightning game puck of the game is going to go to Jonas Johansson. Jonas Johansson. Really nice game and goal by him. Our game puck of the game for Pittsburgh is coming up, and our shake of the game will also be coming up. But since we're still talking Lightning, let's take a look at the next 5 for the Lightning before we get to the game puck of the game and the shake of the game for the Penguins. Let's take a look at our Tampa Bay next 5. Tonight, they will take on the Boston Bruins. Then they are home for 2 games as the Anaheim Ducks will be in Tampa Bay on Thursday night. The Anaheim Ducks will be in Tampa Bay on Thursday night. The Red Wings are in town on Saturday night, 7 p.m. Eastern. Both games on Thursday and Saturday night. They go on a back-to-back in a 4-game road trip later. That will see them take on the Toronto Maple Leafs in Toronto on Prime Video, on Prime Monday Night Hockey. It's on Monday. It's only on Prime. And wherever you can find it on the air, it's also available on NHL Network, I understand as well. So perhaps Maple Leaf fans in Toronto, you might be able to get it on Sportsnet. Game time is 7:30 p.m. Eastern. They'll follow that up with a trip to Montreal to take on the Montreal Canadiens at 7 p.m. Eastern. Out to the Windy City. Out to the Windy City they'll go to take on Chicago in a back-to-back that is on the 24th and 25th of January. They'll take on the Chicago Blackhawks at 8 p.m. on Friday, January 24th. And that will pretty much do it for their next 5. But to add in an additional game, they'll play in the Motor City in Detroit at 7 p.m. on that Saturday night at January 25th, 2025. And that's going to be an interesting one between the Lightning and the Red Wings. That'll be an interesting one. But the next 5 for them, Boston tonight, Anaheim. Anaheim is pretty much on the slate of a 2-game homestand. But that is Thursday night. Saturday night, they play Detroit in Tampa Bay. They'll play Toronto and Montreal, and that actually will close out our next 5 because they play 3 nights this week against Boston, Anaheim, and Detroit. And they will be in Detroit next week as part of a 4-game road trip. That wraps up our next 5 with Toronto and Montreal for the next 5 for the Lightning. Huge road trip coming up for the Penguins following the game against the Kraken. They're going to be on the road for quite some time. However, it's unclear yet. We don't know yet if the Penguins will make the trip to LA. We don't know if the Penguins will make the trip to LA to take on the Los Angeles Kings. So that we don't know yet. We don't know that as of yet. But while we wait to get to the next 5 there, let's wrap it up here with our Shake of the Game recipient for Pittsburgh and our game puck of the game. For the Penguins, the Shake of the Game is a pick-me-up, and that's going to go to Tristan Jarry. 3 goals given up, all at even strength. 14 saves made by Jarry on 17 shots that he faces. Of course, shots 18 and 19 for the 18 and 19 for the Tampa Bay Lightning are empty net goals. Jarry was pulled around that point in time. He only played 58 minutes and 42 seconds. Finishes the game on Sunday night with a save percentage of .824. So not a bad night for Jarry, but he did give up 3 goals. Not a bad night, but he did give up 3 goals. And that's just my opinion. That's just my opinion on Tristan Jarry's night. Maybe after I look at the tape, I might start saying it was a bad night for Tristan Jarry. But right now, I don't really think that was a bad night for Tristan Jarry. I really don't. Makes a couple of good saves. And as we have hit our hour mark of the program, I have to pretty much wrap this up. So it's the pick-me-up shake of the game. Our game puck of the game is going to belong to goal scorer Kevin Hayes, who scored on the power play. And I really thought Kevin Hayes was playing really well. I did manage to catch most of the game on the Penguins radio network, but I also was unaware that it was also on Sportsnet. So we got Josh and his partner on the air on the TV side for that one as well. So Kevin Hayes and Tristan Jarry are the game puck of the game, and of course, our shake of the game recipient. We're now about an hour and a minute into the show. So now it's time to wrap things up here. Let's get you to the next 5, including tonight's game against Seattle. Tonight, the Penguins play the Kraken for the first time of 2 times this season. That game gets going at 7 p.m. Eastern on Sportsnet Pittsburgh, and of course on the Penguins radio network, all presented by S&T Bank. If we don't have a post-game show for you on Tuesday night tonight for the Penguins and the Kraken, I'll come your way with that I will come your way with that game. Post-game wise, I'll come your way with that one on Wednesday. And that is the Kraken and the Penguins. That post-game show will come your way on Wednesday. We'll see if we can get one to you tonight. If not, we will see. But then the Penguins are on the road for quite a road trip where they'll play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games on the road to wrap up January, including a back-to-back starting on Friday night. They'll play in Buffalo. Off to the nation's capital of the United States. They'll play the Capitals for another edition of on Penguins postgame. That's another edition of Penguins and Capitals. Crosby versus Ovechkin. That ought to be a good one on Saturday night. As it stands, 10:30 p.m. Night owl alert, night owl alert, night owl alert. The Kings host the Penguins at 10:30 p.m. Eastern in LA for the final game of their 2 meetings between the Kings and the Penguins for 2024-2025. And we'll wrap it all up here with a visit to Anaheim next Thursday night, January 23rd. The Penguins will be in Anaheim to take on the Ducks at 10 p.m. Eastern. That will leave us with an afternoon matinee game, early evening game between the Kraken and the Penguins. They will then be in the Shark Tank and then Utah. But right now, the Kraken tonight. Sabres and Capitals Friday and Saturday. If it's a go, Kings and the Penguins on Monday night. And then Ducks and Penguins next Thursday night. That'll do it for this episode of Penguins Postgame. And that'll do it for Triple Trouble on Sports for Beginners. Earlier on Triple Trouble, you heard my reaction to the Bills win in postseason action on Super Wild Card Weekend as they beat the Broncos 31-7. Then before we came on the air, you're hearing Thomas's recap of Frost and Victoire from Ball Arena, the home of the Colorado Avalanche in the NHL. And then we wrapped it up with this recap here from Sunday. The Penguins fell 5-2 to the Tampa Bay Lighting. My name is Scott McGregor. I will see you after the Kraken and the Pens game. And for Bills Mafia, have a great rest of your day, everybody. I hope you enjoyed Victory Monday, as we are recording this now after Victory Monday. And the shows might come your way after Victory Monday, but that's okay. Hope you enjoyed Victory Monday. Now let's get ready for the Ravens and Lamar on Sunday night. Spoiler alert, Sunday Night Football is not on NBC this week in the NFL. No, it's on CBS, live from Orchard Park. So yep, that's right. It's Sunday Night Football on CBS between the Bills and the Ravens. Should be a good one. My name is Scott McGregor. Pens fans, I'll catch you after Kraken in the Pens. Enjoy the hockey game. Let's see what the Penguins have in store to close out the 5-game homestand. The Kraken are tonight. We're on the road for the rest of January. It's going to be a good one tonight between Seattle and Pittsburgh. But on the road for the rest of January. And I am Scott McGregor. This has been Penguins Postgame. Penguins and the Bolts. We'll line it up one more time on March 25th, 2025. By then, we'll already be thinking about 2025 MLB season. We'll see where things go that way. Once again, the final score, Lightning 5, Penguins 2. Can the Lightning upset the Penguins and sweep them in the season series? We'll find all that out on March 25th, 2025. But before we get there, we gotta get to February. And the Penguins will not be home for the rest of January after this game between the Kraken and the Penguins. Let's go, Pens. I will see you next time on Penguins Postgame. Pens and the Kraken coming up next. Don't miss it. Peace, everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, Elvis has just left the building. You've just listened to Pittsburgh Penguins hockey on the Sports for Beginners podcast. To learn more about the show and to view the upcoming schedule, like the Sports for Beginners Facebook page. Search Sports for Beginners or visit the official Sports for Beginners podcast website. Thanks for listening, and until next time, stay tuned. And remember that it is not goodbye, it is until next time. And you'd have to be here to believe it.